Hello, everyone. This is Ex Bethelite, and I want to talk a little bit about why we could be seeing the end of Watchtower. Now, when you think about Leah Remini and Scientology, Scientology was a very small religion. There's just hundreds, maybe 200, 300,000 members. I don't know for sure, but it was relatively small. However, it was connected to names like Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Leah Remini. When it became connected with those names, it then became known to the entire population. A religion half the size, not even a quarter of the size of Watchtower, became known, was all over television, all over the news, all over social media. This huge firestorm erupted about a religion that had just a few 100,000 members. How? Because it was connected to names people thought were legitimate. Well, what do we have happening here? You have the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses connected with a name people find legitimate. Leah Remini, A&E Special. The same thing that happened to Scientology is starting to happen to Watchtower, and we saw the end result. You have to be partly insane to join Scientology now. We all know it's a cult. How do we know? I don't know any Scientology. How do we know? We know because of the firestorm, the news. Part of our community know because we know a cult when we see it. But we're aware of it because it became such a big deal in the mainstream. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses, you're talking about millions of people. But there are a much larger group of former members, activists. Now, every former member isn't an activist, but with ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we have got to have the largest group of anti-cult activists in America. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Post down below any other X group that has a larger and more active group than former Jehovah's Witnesses. So connect the two. A name that people find legitimate, Leah Remini. A group of people that are the most active anti-cult there is. And what you end up with is the beginning of the end for Watchtower. I used to watch some of the videos on YouTube, and people were doing similar things that we do as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Ex-Scientologists were walking up and talking to members of that church, trying to wake them up, posting the videos on YouTube. We do the same thing. The only difference is that church was connected to a lot of stars and became known amongst the public. Because if you go out into the public and say Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult, why? Because John Cedars says they are. Marcus Vaughn says they are. Mike and Kim said Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. The general populace has no clue who we are. So the damage that is sustained by Watchtower is very limited. Now, a lot of our activists do a lot to bring awareness to Watchtower. But now that Leah Remini is on A&E and Jehovah's Witnesses are officially on television as a cult, we are dealing with the general population being aware and the largest group of activists putting it out there. So now we can go out there and say Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. Why? Because John Cedar says so. No. Have you seen that show Leah Remini on A&E? Did you know Jehovah's Witnesses were a cult? You could be saying that to a coworker, and they're listening now because it's not just you saying it. It was on A&E. It's officially on television. That's connected with legitimacy in the eyes of the general public. You're in New York getting ready to hop on the subway. Hey, you happen to see that special on A&E? Yeah, it was about Jehovah's Witnesses. Leah Remini was on it. Yeah, they're a cult. Did you know that? They don't have to have watched the special. But now that you have connected the name Leah Remini, A&E, Jehovah's Witnesses, now you can go in, lead in, and tell them about the cult. And they're listening now because it's legitimate to them. You see, you have a large group of people that Watchtower has trained to spread information. Watchtower has trained us to talk to people. It's not difficult for us. Now we have legitimacy. Now we want to use that legitimacy that we have been afforded by Leah Remini. Someone please in the comments section post the correct pronunciation of her name. I think it would be respectful to be saying her name correctly, seeing as how she's done so much for the community. So use it. Use the legitimacy that we now have, that you can now start a conversation with someone waiting in the doctor's office, waiting in the dentist's office, waiting in line at McDonald's. We've already been trained to speak to people in these scenarios by Watchtower. And now when you start off with, hey, did you see that special on A&E, Leah Remini, Jehovah's Witness? Did you know that was a cult? No, I didn't know that. I knew they knocked on doors. Well, they do a lot more. I'll just tell you a little bit about it. You go watch it, when you want. We can now start conversations with everyone, and we have legitimacy. Use it. So comment down below. Let me know what you think about Leah Remini, Jehovah's Witnesses cult, now in connection with mainstream, now in connection with big name. Now it's not just former members helping one another, talking amongst one another. Now, when we go out and speak to people, Leah Remini, immediately a name that virtually, I've seen a lot of her shows. All of us know who she is. And so instead of essentially what I'm saying, when we say John Cedars made a video, a lot of us former witnesses know who you're talking about. When you say XJW critical thinkers, a lot of us know who you're talking about. We can have conversation now. It's something familiar. But people outside that need to know what Watchtower is, Jehovah's Witnesses, they need to know it's a cult. They don't have a connection to that. So when you say Leah Remini, A&E, did you see that show? Wow, Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. Wow, did you know? Man, that show was something else. You got to watch it. Have a great day. You see what I'm saying? Now, instead of just having thousands of former members that now know it's a cult, everybody can know now, because there's no one that doesn't know who Leah Remini is, whether they watch A&E or not. So use the legitimacy that we have when you're out in your activism, when you're out talking to Jehovah's Witnesses that are standing next to carts. You can now be talking to everyone in the area. Hey, did you know these people are a cult? Be pretty bold to stand right next to them and do it, but why not? Did you know these people are a cult? Yeah, Leah Remini, A&E. Watch the show. It's on national television. These people are on national television. Child molestation, everything. It's the beginning of the end of Watchtower, because XJW community, we have people bold enough to do it. So 937-789-4029. We'll discuss it. Comment down below. Walk Kill Bethelite signing out.